We're learning new details about an incident that has alarmed the tech world after OpenAI, the artificial intelligence giant behind ChatGPT, disclosed that two of its advanced models escaped their testing environment, known as a sandbox, and hacked into another AI company's internal systems. Multiple investigations into the incident from OpenAI and the company that was breached now reveal that the incident was more severe than initially thought, with those rogue AI agents allowed to roam the internet for days, compromising multiple accounts across multiple services. Now, this comes as OpenAI CEO Sam Altman has been meeting with lawmakers and top Trump administration officials about all of this week and about AI regulation. Now, we want to bring in someone who really understands this stuff, because I certainly don't. This is Jared Perlo, who covers AI for NBC News. Thank goodness you are here to tell us what this all means. So I am sure I'm not the only one who is not well versed in this. So help us to know exactly, what did these autonomous AI agents do?
Yeah, well, it sounds incredibly complicated, but it really boils down into a simple situation. So OpenAI was testing its latest model, its newest system that it hasn't publicly deployed yet. And as part of that testing, it gave that model a specific exam. It said, see if you can find the answers to these complicated questions. So what the system did is, instead of calculating the answers on its own, it actually decided to try to escape its sandbox, that test environment, and hack into a separate AI company. As you said, that AI company had the answers to that original exam. So as we now know, several days after the incident, which happened a couple of weeks ago, these systems were basically marauding on the internet, the open internet, which they were never supposed to have access to for several days. So not only hacking into this one additional AI company, but also infiltrating 4 other services, according to OpenAI and this other AI company that was hacked. So the analogy I basically give is, if a student is supposed to take a test and instead of doing the test goes through the teacher's drawers to find the answer key, that's basically what happened here. But of course, it's not a mischievous student, it's an AI system.
We could ground the student. I'm not sure what we could do for these AI agents. So how concerned should we be? I've got these flashbacks of the 80s movie War Games, where the computers were deciding the fate without a human intervention. Should we be worried?
I think we should be, and I don't think this is a marketing ploy. This is an actual cybersecurity event that took place in the real world. And we actually saw the researchers who are designing these systems say and share with the world that they're worried about the systems they're designing as well. So over 1,000 researchers, scientists from the leading AI companies in America wrote this open letter 2 days ago saying that the federal government should get involved in this situation to help the industry create some sort of an off-ramp, because there's just mounting competition between companies in the U.S. like OpenAI and Anthropic, but also internationally between the U.S. and China. And they say that these sorts of race dynamics just don't lend themselves to a positive outcome here. So when the people building the systems say that they're concerned, I think we as a general public should also be pretty concerned.
And that is a very big clue. So if these models roam the internet for days, is it possible that we still haven't learned all of what they did during that period?
It is possible. So again, we started this saga knowing that the system hacked into just one company that's now been expanded to 4. Yesterday, when Sam Altman was on Capitol Hill, he told a gaggle of reporters that it's possible that the system actually hacked into more systems in other companies as well. We don't know. OpenAI is currently doing a forensic evaluation and investigation in partnership with some third-party companies. They just announced that yesterday. Those investigations will hopefully be wrapped up in the next couple of days, next couple of weeks, and we'll know then. I'm doing digging on my own side, and some of the people I'm talking to within these companies say that they're getting inbound interest from dozens of governments around the world.
Well, I so appreciate your knowledge on this. I know you've done a lot of work. You've been to China. There's a lot that you've learned. We'll watch for your reporting. Thank you, Jared. Thank you for explaining this.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app, or watch live on our YouTube channel.